Good evening everybody and welcome back to the latest episode of Enter Crypto, where every day I keep you informed and fully up to date on all things crypto. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, then go ahead and like, subscribe, and don't forget to click on the notifications bell so that you don't miss out on any future updates. So today's headline is 93% of banks exploring potential CBDC, and this is according to the Bank of International Settlements. This article is come straight out of Blockworks. And so as always, let's just jump straight into the article and then we'll comment after. So central banks interested in exploring some form of a central bank digital currency, or otherwise known as CBDC, rose to 93%. That is according to a 2022 Bank of International Settlement survey. 86 banks responded to the BIS survey. However, a June survey from the Atlantic Council found that around 130 countries are exploring CBDCs. The survey, which was conducted in the latter half of 2022, also found that the number of banks willing to issue a CBDC in the next 3 years notched up slightly to 18% from 15%, but 68% of respondents said the issuance of a CBDC is unlikely anytime soon. A clear divergence has emerged compared to last year. Some central banks have become more likely to issue a retail CBDC within the next 3 years, while others indicated to be less likely to do so. The share of central banks likely to have a wholesale CBDC in the short term more than doubled, the BIS said. 15 retail CBDCs alongside 9 wholesale CBDCs are expected by the end of the decade. Work on retail CBDC is more advanced than on wholesale CBDC. Almost a quarter of central banks are piloting a retail CBDC. More than 80% of central banks see potential value in having both a retail CBDC and a fast payment system, mostly because a retail CBDC has specific properties and may offer additional features, the BIS wrote. BIS also found that the volatility in crypto assets from the collapses of Terra USD and FTX, which had wide-ranging effects on crypto and caused volatility, led to peaked interest in CBDCs. 60% of central banks said that the emergence of stablecoins and other crypto assets has accelerated their work on CBDCs. These central banks generally attach more weight to a broader set of motivations for issuing a CBDC, the BIS noted. The BIS has been working on various papers concerning CBDCs. Just last week, it published steps for secure and resilient CBDCs. In May, the BIS looked at how central banks can implement offline CBDC technology. So I think it's important first to just establish the difference between a retail CBDC and the sort of system CBDC that we're talking about here. And so a wholesale CBDC is more like kind of the international payments system, and it'll also be used commercially and for banks, not sort of national banks within a country to be used to transact with each other, big transactions, millions and millions of pounds and dollars. Whereas the retail CBDC will be more for the average Joe like you and me to just go around and pay for our gas or our petrol and shopping, and whether it be food or clothes and all our other little expenses that your normal person would have. That's kind of a retail. That's the retail CBDC is aimed at. And to me, this is bad news on both sides, because this is just another way for the government to control what you do and do not do in terms of how you spend your money. It gives them basically an extra level, or I would argue 2 or 3 extra levels of control over you, and it erodes your privacy as an individual, because now that the government is sort of trying to do away with cash as well, we're going to be transacting in this CBDC whether we like it or not, because they're going to demand that we pay our taxes in this CBDC. Our employer is going to pay us on this CBDC network. We're not going to have private banks anymore. And so if this happens, the government is going to have access to everything that you spend your money on, like everything. So you're not going to be able to spend anything on this network without the government knowing that you're you're doing it, especially as cash is being phased out. So now, I think people don't really often credit cash for how good it is, in that it's very private. We can transact in cash and nobody knows that we're doing it. It doesn't mean that we're doing anything illicit. It just means we are we value our privacy, and we don't want people knowing what we're doing, especially the government. There's no reason for them to know what we're doing. As long as we're not breaking the law, it's none of their business. And I think a lot of people are sympathetic towards this, and so we're seeing a lot of pushback, especially from the Republican side, are the Conservatives in the UK, in implementing this. And on the Libertarian side, the really great thing about crypto and cryptocurrencies is that they offer you a way out of this. We can have payments, whether it be USD, GBP, yen, or whatever it is, or just Bitcoin as a native currency, or Monero or something like that. We can pay and transact with each other in a way that's uncensorable. And that's another important factor, that if the government decide to censor you, or decide that they don't like something that you're saying politically, if you're one of these politically exposed persons, or PEPs is kind of the phrase that's been bandied about recently, then they can cut you off from the financial system at the stroke of a button, and there's nothing you can do about that. You won't be able to pay your bills if they don't like what you say or do, or if you break the law. I'm not advocating for people breaking the law, but I'm just saying that people who go to prison, come out, maybe don't want to change their lives, they're going to find it difficult to transact and difficult to hold an account, and it's going to be very totalitarian and a bit of a dystopian nightmare. And I think the government are now, through the press and through the media, trying to push that this is actually good for us, and this is going to benefit us. Actually, we're going to have faster payments, we're going to have all this stuff. We've already got fast payments. We can, it doesn't take long. It's cheap. The banking system works in the sense of speed and getting a transaction actually done. So that is not the problem. The problem is the censorship and the ability to stop people transacting and becoming basically non-citizens if the government chooses to do that to you. And the great thing about crypto and Bitcoin is that they are uncensorable, that you can't just manipulate it. Nobody controls it, so nobody can say who can and cannot use it. It's a bit like gold in many ways, in that gold is a neutral asset, and it's kind of seen as more like a safe haven, really. It's not politically affiliated with any government. It doesn't care. Really, you either have gold or you don't have it, and it's the same in Bitcoin. You either got the Bitcoin or you don't have it. In the fiat world, in the dollars and pounds, there's lots of things that can happen. We don't just either have it or don't have it. We have lots of debt. In fact, the entire system is built around debt. And one other thing is that this money that they will be, this network, this CBDC network that the government uses, is basically programmable. So it's programmable money. And so if they have, I think I've talked about this before, but if they have sort of a green incentive that families can only spend so much on diesel or petrol or gas in any given week, then they can literally switch your account off if you spend more than, say, $50 on diesel that week, because they've got a green incentive. And they've got targets to meet. And so now if you want to go on holiday this weekend, you've already used up your sort of quota of gas to put in your car. And so they can control everything what you spend your money. If they decide that you can only spend so much on eggs for whatever reason, or meat for whatever reason, anything like that, they can control everything now what you spend, and they can look at everything. It's really going to be awful. And anybody that enjoys freedom should really be pushing back on this. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. As always, guys, thank you for watching and for listening. Remember, everybody, to please subscribe to the channel, join my team, and I'll keep you updated on all things crypto every single day. Don't forget to smash the like button if you feel you got some value from this video, and I'll see you all tomorrow.